Welcome to another rights-based approach video clip. I am a person with a disability advocating for disability. Please enjoy this video and share among your networks to make disability inclusion.
You can access the book through the conference website, and as you can see, you can visit the website and download the book of abstract.
Engage and combine our efforts to build a better world for the differently able. Join us on our journey of enhancing lives, because together we can go much further and have a global impact to achieve the unthinkable.
All corners of Sri Lanka, creating long-term sustainable employment and livelihoods for persons with disabilities. Driving the EFC's Specialized Training and Disability Resource Center, which rests on the concept of nothing about us without us, Manique translates it to all her efforts in empowering women and men with disabilities to be independent in society development.
Everyone, greetings from Sri Lanka. Welcome all of you all to the 7th World Disability and Rehabilitation Conference. I'm Manique Gunaratne, Manager, Specialized Training and Disability Resource Center of the Employers Federation of Ceylon. Today I will speak about vocational training and employment opportunities for persons with diverse disabilities. We, from our organizations, train persons with diverse disabilities on various skills to develop their employability, and also we place them in gainful employment. We connect people with diverse disabilities in all corners of Sri Lanka so that they can get this training and be empowered. Before I start my presentation, I will show you a small video about our training center, which has accessibility and also the facilities available in our training center. Trainings are done for persons with diverse disabilities. Vision impaired persons do the training through the screen reading software. Partially sighted persons do the training through a screen magnifier. We also have the sign language support for hearing impaired trainees. Trainees with learning disabilities, physical disabilities, wheelchair users, psychosocial disabilities, and multiple disabilities are also included in all our trainings. The Employers Federation of Ceylon was established in 1929. The Employers Network on Disability was initiated in 1999 to train persons with disabilities in job-seeking skills and place them in gainful employment in the private sector. We train persons with diverse disabilities in various skills to develop their employability skills and thereafter place them in gainful employment. People with diverse disabilities such as vision impaired persons, partially sighted, deaf and hard of hearing, physical disabilities, wheelchair users, learning disabilities, people with psychosocial disabilities and multiple disabilities are trained at this training center. We have the accessible training materials unit where we print materials in accessible formats, the software and assistive devices unit, the disability resource center, and also we conduct access audits and web accessibility audits through this disability resource center. The training center is fully accessible for persons with diverse disabilities. We have the accessible parking slot specially allocated for persons with disabilities. The signage which has parking for persons with disabilities is located closer to the training center so that the vehicle can come and stop there, park the vehicle, and the person with a disability can enter the training center. We have the ramp which has accessibility for persons with diverse disabilities. A wheelchair user can come to the training center in a wheelchair. A vision impaired person can come in the ramp using the white cane. We have the warning tactile and the guiding tactile. The railing is for people with physical disabilities and also people have difficulties in walking. The training center board has the signage in braille as well as in large letters so that a vision impaired person and a partially sighted person can read the name board and then enter the correct place. When you ring the bell, someone will come to assist and people with disabilities are assisted. To give guidance to vision impaired persons, we have a flow marking so that the white cane can be touched from this marking and from the door that person can enter the training room. The trailing bar is for vision impaired persons to hold it and enter the training center. We also have a sign which beeps so that a vision impaired person knows that someone has entered the training center. The globally recognized Cisco certification trainings are conducted with the support of Cisco Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology and Curtin University of Technology in Australia. The training center has the e-learning facility where persons with diverse disabilities are connected from all corners of Sri Lanka to the training center. There are software and assistive devices specially designed for persons with disabilities to conduct e-learning courses and trainings. Materials are produced in accessible formats such as Braille in Sinhala, Tamil and English, large print, audio, sign language and in accessible e-formats from this unit. This is the Braille machine to print materials in Braille. Mobility International USA MUSA Brilliant and Resilient International Photo Exhibition is placed at this training center. Photographs of 30 great women leaders in the world are displayed here along with their great achievements. There are a number of assistive devices specially designed for persons with disabilities to assist them in day-to-day activities. Although I am a person with a disability, I have received many national and international awards. Do not have any reservation about the work that persons with disabilities could do. They are equally capable or even better than a person with a not yet with a disability. I know because I have been there. Okay, I hope all of you all watched that video about the training center. Now I will start my presentation on vocational training and skills development for persons with diverse disabilities. The present situation in Sri Lanka is, the thing is now people with disabilities are marginalized in Sri Lanka in most of the ways. We have 1.6 million of people with disabilities in Sri Lanka according to the 2012 census and statistics. And according to the Departments of Census and Statistics, it says only 21% of persons with disabilities are economically active. So therefore, we have a lot to do with regard to vocational training and employment for persons with diverse disabilities. And when it's come to policy level, the only legal provision in Sri Lanka is there is a gazette notification saying 3%, 27 out of 88, saying that 3% of government reservation should be for people with disabilities. And also in the private sector, because I am in the private sector, through the Employers Federation of Ceylon, we have 700 plus member companies. So we deal with the private sector organization. Therefore, we encourage private sector companies to recruit more and more people with disabilities. According to the United Nations Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities, Article number 26 says rehabilitation for people with disabilities, because it's equally important people who become acquire disabilities later on in life, to give them vocational training, rehabilitation, and therefore make them continue their employment or livelihood activities. Then article number 27 clearly explains the right for employment for people with disabilities. Then vocational training. I will speak about the vocational training. It's very important that people with disabilities are given the opportunity for vocational training. Due to the grassroots level, the poverty level, and because most of the people with disabilities lack in their education. So when they don't have a proper education level, then the higher education, vocational training, then employment is, cannot be done because of the lower lack of educational level. Especially people with disabilities, or maybe people have learning disabilities, other disabilities. Most of these vocational training institutes, mainstream vocational institutes, they have enrolling criteria which are very high. Sometimes they require the 10th grade, we call it in Sri Lanka the GCE ordinary level certificate. People with disabilities from the very grassroots level do not have even this qualification. So it's very important that people with, especially for people with disabilities, these enrollment criteria are lower. We, at our training center, we enroll people with disabilities. We don't have an age limit, we don't have an education level. The only qualification to join our trainees are to be a person with a disability. Therefore, that's why it's very popular. Our training center is very popular because people with disabilities, due to various reasons, sometimes people with disabilities, especially children with disabilities, maybe in their 15 or 16, in their teenagers, they acquire disabilities, so therefore their education level is stopped halfway through. So we enroll people with diverse disabilities in all corners of Sri Lanka. The only qualification they require is to be a person with a disability. And also it's very important to upgrade the training courses according to the job market. That's a specialty we have in our training center, because we deal with employers and we know what are the requirements, the skills the employers look for. So therefore we do the trainings according to the job market, so that people with disabilities, it's easy for them to get employment. We provide training materials in accessible formats. People with disabilities get information in 6 different methods. 1. Braille, 2. Large print, 3. Audio or the DAISY format, 4. Accessible e-copies, 5. Sign language, and 6. Simple text. So we provide all these training materials in all 6 accessible formats, because most of these mainstream organizations, institutes, vocational training institutes, they do not provide training materials in accessible format. Therefore, they cannot access, persons with disabilities cannot access the information. We always encourage, we at our training of course have cater only for people with disabilities, but I would like to request government and other private institutes, especially not to have special courses for people with disabilities, but in the same mainstream vocational institutes, enroll people with disabilities and give the reasonable accommodation and adaptations and materials in accessible formats. And also the mainstream vocational institutes should be accessible. The structure should be accessible so that persons with disabilities has accessibility. And also it should be it should respond to the requirement of people with disabilities as well. So accessibility, of course, you saw in the video, we have all the ramps and all the accessibility facilities required for persons with diverse disabilities. And also the training courses. In our training center, what we do is we don't have a specific period, because we do according to the speed of the trainees with disabilities. Because sometimes if we say 3 months course or 6 months course, at the end of the 6 months, if persons with disabilities have not learned anything, there's no point in giving the certification. So therefore we make sure it goes beyond that, and we go into a speed where average speed is not very fast, not very slow, average speed, so that everyone is included until the end of the course, so nobody will be left behind. Sometimes we extend our course durations, so that sometimes on-the-job trainings are provided so that they can develop their skills more and more. And also we contact with the employers so that it will be, because we know the skills that people with disabilities have. So we can always do the proper job match with the employer. Then next one is the skills development. What are the skills development that we do? These are the ones. Before you go for employment, it's very important that people with disabilities develop their skills. Otherwise, the employee will be frustrated because the person with a disability cannot perform the task, and persons with disabilities also be frustrated because they cannot do the given task. So we also train people with disabilities in job seeking skills and job keeping skills. Both are equally important. To develop, to match these employers and persons with disabilities, the Employers Federation of Ceylon initiate the Employers Network on Disability to develop employability skills of persons with disabilities and sensitize the employers on recruiting persons with disabilities. We started the Employers Network on Disability in 1999. Then what are the skills that we develop in persons with disabilities? First, we train them on how to write a proper CV, because that's the first document an employer interact with a person with a disability. Then we train them in interview skills, because some of these people with disabilities do not face the interview properly, therefore they cannot get the employment. And we do on-the-job training, so that when the on-the-job training is given, the employer can decide whether they are continuing with this person with a disability and absorbing them to the permanent cadre. And as I told you before, we train them in job seeking skills, how to look for employment, and job keeping skills, how to retain in employment. We also maintain a database with CVs of people with disabilities. So when the companies request us for a certain job role, if they need a person with a disability, we do the proper job match and fix the interviews and provide them employment opportunities in private sector companies. And also our courses are recognized by the Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission. Therefore, it's a nationally recognized certificate that we give. And the Employers Federation of Ceylon, we have 700 plus member companies. It's a huge membership. So anyway, within our membership, this certificate is recognized. And we have a Cisco training center in Sri Lanka. This is the only Cisco academy for persons with diverse disabilities. So certifications are also given because it's an international qualification. So persons with disability can go up to, starting from the national level up to international level. Then next, I will discuss employment opportunities for persons with diverse disabilities. Article 20 7 of the United Nations Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities specified clearly says that it's the right of people with disabilities in work and employment. Non-discrimination should be there. Nobody can be discriminated due to their disability when it's come to employment. And also, we promote employment opportunities for persons with disabilities in the private sector. That's mainly, as I told you before, we deal with the private sector. We sensitize the employers on how to recruit people with disabilities and to recruit more and more people with disabilities, and on how to provide reasonable accommodation. For example, if they recruit a vision impaired person on an office job, they can provide the same computer that they give for other employees, but a screen reading software can be installed. Or if they recruit hearing impaired person, they can train 1 or 2 of their staff members in sign language. Or they can provide accessibility for especially a ramp for wheelchair users. These are the some of the reasonable accommodations that employers can provide. Then we train the employers how to make their workplace an inclusive workplace, and also people with disabilities how to sustain in employment. Sometimes, although we place people with disabilities in employment, they don't know how to sustain in employment, to develop their skills, to get promotions, to get more and more career opportunities. Persons with disabilities should grow with the business. And support solutions, find solutions which provides equal opportunities. And also it's very important that the mental health of people with disabilities are given, because people with disabilities should not be harassed or marginalized in workplace. And dissemination of information. For example, for vision impaired persons, the computer, they can use the computer system. For hearing impaired persons, through sign language interpretation, whatever in accessible format, the information is important. This is where a technology plays a major role. So through technology, through the computer systems, especially vision impaired persons and other persons with disabilities can get the information required at employment. And also assistive devices and softwares, because through assistive devices and software only people with disabilities work. I'm also a vision impaired person. I'm doing this presentation through a screen reading software and the assistive devices I use. That's how I work in my organization and work for persons with diverse disabilities at a national level, regional level, and at global level. Skills, developing their skills is very important, because when persons with disabilities, they go to school or university, they get academic qualifications, but they have to develop their professional skills and soft skills to retain in employment. And also social protection is also important for people with disabilities. Ensure labor rights, because people with disabilities cannot be discriminated, because labor rights are equally important for people with disabilities. And also both public sector and private sector partnerships are important, and public government sector also should ensure the rights of persons with disabilities. As I told you before, in Sri Lanka we have that Gazette notification saying 3% of government reservations should be for people with disability. So I would like to urge and humbly request the government to implement that 3% quota reservation when recruiting people with disabilities to the government sector. And we have employee sensitization programs. We do a lot of programs to sensitize the employers, because it's important that the employers are sensitized. We do programs on how to provide reasonable accommodation. Sometimes employers do not know what are these reasonable accommodations. According to the disability, the reasonable accommodations are provided. We do trainings on disability etiquettes for companies, especially how to interact with the persons with disability. The do's and don'ts, especially people, the employees who interact with customers with disability. Starting from the security, front office, if it is in a bank, people who are in counters, on disability etiquettes, how to interact with people with disabilities, and the best way to handle people with disabilities. Then we train people, and also we give advice and recommendations on accessibility. We do disability accessibility audits, and we give recommendations how to make workplaces accessible for people with disabilities. Then we have a program called Community Means Everyone, because community is important. Not only the employer, the community should be sensitized, especially in the very grassroots level, to include persons with disabilities, inclusions, especially maybe transportation, maybe other in the other society. And we have this fostering family engagement program, because people with disabilities are not sent to employment or not empowered because due to cultural barriers and overprotection by the families. The family members do not allow these people with disabilities to be empowered. So we do sensitization programs for the family members to make their child with a disability empowered, because parents will not live every day. One day they will be dead and gone. So they should make this child with a disability independent, and so that they will be able to earn a living on their own. And also we sometimes do these vehicle modification programs, where in Sri Lanka maybe the cars or the vans, the most popular vehicle is the tuk-tuk or the three-wheeler. We do modifications through a special project, so that the three-wheeler is modified especially for people with spinal cord injury and physical disabilities, people without hands and without legs. The hands and brakes are taken into hand control, or whatever adjustment, the seat adjustments are done. And thereafter, they can do their livelihood activities. They can go for employment, they can be self-employed, they can be an entrepreneur with a disability. So transportation problem will be solved in that way. And also we have the supported employment officers. I have been trained in supported employment, Northern Ireland Union of Supported Employment and European Union of Supported Employment. By supporting supported employment, people with disabilities and employers both will be joined together. The big gap between the employer and the person with a disability, we are going to bridge that gap through supported employment. And also we are represented at various committees and at policy level. I'm also a member of the National Council for Persons with Disabilities in Sri Lanka. So to promote laws, policies and good practices and share them among the civil society. And also I must say, in various committees, high level committees, they should include people with disability. Because they say nothing about us without us. But I must say that everything should be with us. So when decisions are made on behalf of us, persons with disabilities should be included. And also we have a women empowerment program, where we train women with disabilities, because women with disabilities are marginalized, they don't come forward. So we do women empowerment program as well, starting from the very grassroots level. And also we have programs to develop entrepreneurship skills of persons with disabilities, because everybody cannot be placed in employment. So some of them can be go as entrepreneurs with disabilities. Those are the things that I want to discuss, and I hope you can contact me at any time. I'm there to do the service for you. Last but not least, let's all of us get together, in this conference people with disabilities and people without disabilities to change mindset from sympathy to empathy, dependence to independence, hidden to open, segregation to integration, and exclusion to inclusion to create a disabled friendly environment with dignity and justice for all to make the right real. Thank you very much. Aibowan, greetings from Sri Lanka. Welcome all of you all to the World Disability and Rehabilitation Conference, the 7th one. And today I will speak about the career opportunities available for persons with diverse disabilities. Developing your career is very important for people with disabilities. Why? You should be empowered and also be independent. Most of people in Sri Lanka, especially maybe in other countries as well, people with disabilities in the very grassroots level, they are not empowered. And also due to a lack of facilities in education, then the vocational training opportunities are not there. So therefore when it's come to employment, it's very difficult to place them in gainful employment. So when we talk about career opportunities, it's very important for people with disabilities to develop your skills. First of all, when you go to school, you will get all the educational qualifications. If you go to university, you have all the academic qualifications. And the thing is now, to be gainfully employed, you have to develop your other skills as well. The soft skills, the technological skills, you have to develop. Because then only the employers are very happy with your performance, because you are able to perform your duties. So developing your career, so developing your skills. How can you look for opportunities to develop your skills? There are vocational training institutes. The mainstream vocational institutes are there, and also there are special institutes specially cater for persons with disabilities. So you can join either of them to develop your skill, but make sure all those skills should be according to the suitable for the job market. So to develop your skills, you look around what are the capabilities that you have. So sometimes you will not have capabilities or strengths to develop a certain skill. But there may be some other skills that you are very good at, and when you a little bit of training would do a word of good for them. So first you have to identify what are your strengths and what skills you can develop, and also how you can develop your career path. That is important, because then only you will be able to find employment, maybe livelihood activities, and to develop your career. Then thereafter, first you develop your skills, right? First you have to get your educational qualifications, professional qualifications, vocational training, and also to develop your career, you must develop other skills as well. What are those other skills? In Sri Lanka, if you do a job in the government sector, you can do in local language, either Sinhala or in Tamil. But when it's come to private sector, do a office type job, you need the language skill, the English language skill. So start speaking in English, maybe not in a big way. At least learn few words a day, so that you can develop your English knowledge, your written skills, written English, and your spoken English as well. Because in private sector, all companies work in English, all the documentation is also in English. So you should be able to communicate in English. The barrier that we face when we go to place people with disabilities in employment, they don't have the required skill, the language skills. On the other hand, you have to develop your soft skills. What are these soft skills? Because in private sector companies, the soft skills are very important. You have to be punctual. Teamwork is also important. Working as a group. So actually your dress code, mainly your maybe table etiquettes, developing your presentation skills. So all these soft skills are important because you have to develop your soft skills to present well and to work in an organization. Your dress code, properly dressed, all those are very important. And the other one is the technological skills. Because we as persons with disabilities lack in either we don't have vision, either we don't have the hearing, or we have other mobility difficulties. So you must get adapt to a special system with the technology and with the support of software. For a simple example, a vision impaired person can do an office type job if you know your IT skills. To work on a computer, to work on a laptop, a screen reading software can be installed and you then thereafter you can perform your duties. Please note that you can work equally capable as a person with a non-disability if you know your ICT skills, that is information and communication skills. That's the only way you can work equally capable. Because in organizations, there will be nobody to give you in braille or in your accessible formats. But if you have the technological skill, especially to operate a computer, to make your own documents, send emails, and other documentation work, and also to operate a smartphone. Now most of the smartphones have this assistive technology. The Android phones have the talkback facility and the iPhone has the voiceover facility. So the speech software is there and the technology is there. So you can perform your duties without any difficulty if you have these technological skills. And also some of these career opportunities are now being upgraded. For example, maybe vision impaired persons a long time ago, they always say they want to work as a telephone operator, right? Now the telephone operator job is not only the telephone operating task. It comes with the IT skills, okay? Because most of the switchboards are computerized. You have to know your IT skills, and especially remember, when you work in an organization, you should be able to do multitasking. Answer calls, for example, do the computer work, write notes, write memos, send messages, send emails. All those things you have to perform in your own capacity. So job market is changing from day to day. So according to that, you have to change your skills. And also how to look for employment. Most of you think that people with disabilities, others, the employers will come to you. No, you have to search for it. First you have to think whether you are going to work in your own area, maybe your grassroots level or in a rural area, or whether you are going to come to Colombo to work in some other organization. So first you have to search for employment. How can you search for employment? There are organizations doing job matching and also finding employment for persons with disabilities. Or on the other hand, you can go online. There are websites which are, all these employers advertise their vacancies. So you also can give it a try, apply and give it a try, because most of these companies, they say they give equal opportunities, and sometimes in their advertisements they also say persons with disabilities could also apply. So you have to look for employment and also develop your skills on how to write a proper CV, because that's the first document you interact with the company. So it should be in a proper manner, and also highlight your skills. It's most important thing is the educational qualification and the skills, the interpersonal skills that you have. So, and facing interviews. Facing interview is also important, because we from our organization, we give interview practice, we send to companies, and we get the feedback both from the employer and the employee. The employer might give the feedback saying how the employee performed, and the person with a disability, we can get the feedback whether the employer provided the reasonable accommodation that you require. For example, did they have a sign language interpreter for the interview, or did they give you other services as well? And the facing an interview, sometimes some of you all are very scared of interview. So get rid of that shyness, have confidence, show them that whatever duties that they give, that you will perform. For example, when I first faced the interview as a person with a disability for employment, that is at the Employers Federation of Ceylon, the former Director General asked me, Manique, what can you do? I just gave a simple chance. I said, sir, give me a chance. I will do it and show you. And that chance made me what I am today. So I am happy about it. So the way you answer questions, the way you face the interview carries a long way, and how you can work in an office. Also, the other thing, sometimes people with disabilities think that you have to get big benefits. No, you have to perform your duties. It's equal opportunities. Whatever benefits the company give for other employees, you also should be able to get, because you are performing your duties. And most of these people with disabilities, sometimes they ask for figures like for salary and all. First, before quoting a figure for as a salary, just do a market research and think how the market goes. Especially maybe if you are a graduate with a disability, just pass from the university. Do a research and see how the companies are paying you, right? Because when you just pass out from the university, you don't have any experience. So experience and qualifications matters for the salaries. And when you are performing your duties in the office, you should be able to work as a team, work collaboratively, and also help others, and work ethics are very important, because those things counts a lot to develop your career. You cannot go, you might go to one designation when you join a company, but that doesn't mean that you have to be in the same designation until you leave that company. No, you have to grow with the business, and you have to develop your skills. You have to get your promotions and increments, right? So sometimes it may be just changing your attitude, perform your duties in a different way. So those things are important for people with disabilities. Maybe these things are just minor matters, but it goes a long way. And on the other hand, we are sensitizing the employers on how to recruit people with disabilities, how to find people with disabilities also, and what are the employers can include people with disabilities, how to provide accessibility, reasonable accommodation, right, and all the other requirements. Sometimes all these facilities doesn't cost much. The employers always think that it's a burden to the company and it costs a lot to recruit a person with a disability. No. Sometimes it's just a little bit of reasonable accommodation. I'll give you a simple example. A low vision person might work in a workstation, like in the office, but he or she might need an extra bit of lighting. So you can fix either extra light or put a table lamp. So that will be benefit for the person, for low vision person, to perform his or her duties. So think in a different way. That's what is important. And also you can, don't, when you think of recruiting people with disabilities, right? You have to recruit them maybe executive level, management level, clerical staff, in all levels. Don't think that people with disabilities are only for low level jobs. There are people with disabilities who are educated, who have skills, who are willing to work. So those are also important. And technology. Now due to COVID-19 pandemic and in Sri Lanka we had the fuel crisis. So working from home, remote work became very popular. So to work from home, to remote work or to work online, you need the technological skills, the special devices, the knowledge of software, how to operate. So all those things counts a lot. So you have to develop those skills. The career opportunities, it's, people with disabilities, you have to think in a different way. How you can perform your duties. What are the additional skills that you require? Or if you need an additional assistive device, which is required for you. For example, if a vision impaired person, he or she has to perform a duty where you need a lot of calculations. So you can get a extra assistive device. Even the computer has all the technology. In the Excel, you can do mathematical calculations. If you have a smartphone with the talkback or voice-over facilities, you can use your smartphone or even a talking calculator, right? So those are the assistive devices are important. But in Sri Lanka, most of these assistive devices, software are very expensive. Even nowadays it's very, very expensive. But through the employer or through your capacity, if you have an assistive device, if you get adjusted to a system, then it will be very easy for you to perform your duty. When these career opportunities are there, it's not only working in an employment, maybe livelihood activities, entrepreneurs with disabilities, because it's not just in most of these developing countries, people with disabilities, they get grant, self-employment grant, and they don't utilize it properly. They just utilize it for household consumption. No proper monitoring mechanism is available. So therefore, they are in the same level every day. But be an entrepreneur. Developing entrepreneurs with disabilities is important. How to write a proper business plan, where to find the market, how can you market your product. Maybe sometimes people with disabilities, they produce goods, but the presentability, the marketability, how you showcase it, branding, those are not there. And how to find the market. Now there are a lot of platforms, maybe online, Facebook, whatever, eBay. There are a lot of opportunities to online marketing. So develop those technological skills, online marketing skills, so that you can be at home and do your own entrepreneurship. You have to be an entrepreneur with a disability. Because there are very few entrepreneurs with disabilities in Sri Lanka. So try to develop those things and to market and develop the business. Money management is very important, financial management. Get a training where they train you on how to do proper money management and do your businesses. Right? And also on the job trainings. When career opportunities are provided, sometimes the employers provide the career opportunity on the job training so that the employer can decide whether they are absorbing you to the permanent cadre, and you also can realize whether it's easy to perform these duties and to meet up to the employer's expectations as well. Yeah. And the other thing is, so be loyal to the company, right, and work well, then the employers will give you or whatever the facilities required for you. So per persons with disabilities, you don't have to just stay at home and say, oh, I'm a person with a disability, I cannot work. No, though that is those days. I'm also a person with a disability, right? I became vision impaired in my very young age. So at that time, I didn't have any training. I just thought to myself, what I can do, right? So I want to be professionally qualified and financially stable. So I performed my duty. You have to perform your duties with meticulous care, patience, poise, professionalism, and most of all with the greatest efficiency. If you do your duties, then you can develop your career and find more career opportunities. For persons with disabilities, I have to say, believe in the 5 Ds. D. The first D is dream. Have a dream. Have a dream that one day you will be the manager or the department head, whatever. Your career dream. Have a dream. The second D is desire. Have a desire to achieve that dream. The third D is determination. Right? Determination is important to achieve that dream. And the fourth D is dedication. Right? Your dedication is important. Then only you will be able to achieve the dream. The fifth one is do all these things with good discipline. So the 5 Ds are very important. So, and also there are 3 switches in your life. One switch which starts from H. First one is the head. The first H is head. Develop your attitudes from your head, right? Develop your skills, right? The head, hands and the heart. From your hands, develop your skills. From your heart, develop good attitudes. And from your head, develop your knowledge. So then you will be able to perform your duties properly and also develop your career. For employers, to give employment opportunities, develop accessibility, reasonable accommodation, and when it's come from the hierarchy, from top to bottom approach, is very important to include people with disabilities. If the top management is willing to do so, then the lower management, down the line, it's very easy to include people with disabilities. So these are the few things that I wanted to tell you how to develop your career opportunities. You people with disabilities, it's important that you empower yourself and be independent. Last but not least, I would like to request everyone who is here today at the 7th World Disability and Rehabilitation Conference, right? See the ability of persons with disabilities. See the ability and not the disability. Hear the cry of persons with disabilities for justice. Communicate with people with disabilities. Stand for the rights of persons with disabilities and reach the hearts and minds of persons with disabilities. Changes doesn't happen automatically. We collectively make it happen. Therefore, let's get together to create an environment with dignity and justice for all. Thank you very much. If you would like to support an initiative like this, please contact us. Please subscribe and join hands with us to make disability inclusion